All right, legendary superstars. This is part two, recording number 2 from Wednesday, November 30th. And I want to share something with you. You know, I've been hanging out with the Groove people and working on a business platform for social media or for online business. And I want all of you to have the platform too, but they do a lot of training, a lot of mindset training, as well as skill set training and leadership development. Thank you, Fraser Brooks, for that framework. Okay, so I'm going to share with you some of my notes from the Pillar Business Summit. And they have, I think, the first 30 minutes of this online. So I will, I'll have to find the video and put it in my notes, but I'll make sure and share my notes with you. So I'm going to share my screen. All right. So you don't have to take notes with this. I will be sending this to you. But I love some of these statements. I am the best leader for those who choose to follow me. And you guys, why don't you chime in if you resonate with any of these, or if you have some feedback. Okay, speaking of feedback, rejection is just feedback from the marketplace. Follow up, ask questions. Failure, some people think that failure is failure, but failure is feedback. And you might have heard some other people say you either win or you learn. There is no lose. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is time and action. And I've put in a lot of time since the first day I started Longevity. And lately, you'll see that as far as online, I've been putting in a lot more action, and I'm just getting started with that. So, but I loved the quote. So he talked about the Fed, and this was interesting because these guys are in Malaysia. I had to find Malaysia on the map, but they know a whole lot about United States monetary policy, and they can see from a bird's eye view and from an insider view that there are troubling times coming. Let me preface this. Not preface, let me interrupt this. So this is the Pillar Business Summit. Is that my noise? Okay. So they talked about recover, rebuild, and restore your business from what happened in COVID, but also getting ready for troubling times to come. So when you see the YouTube link, that's what it looks like. Also, let me mute you. Ooh, okay. Also, I forgot about this. During the summit, I took some PowerPoints. I mean, some screenshots of the PowerPoints. So this is what the actual summit looked like from my view. And he, I think, put the first 30 minutes out on YouTube, but the rest of the time was this private Zoom. And oh, I love this. I got to share this with I have to do another screenshot or I have to do another selfie now with some of these things. And oh, he did Ching Yu Tan, who was the star of one of my recent videos. He gave us this little picture of anxiety, right? And people have all their stress in the boxes this big. But when you look in the world and you give it another perspective, the anxiety is really that little box out inside of a whole global perspective. So putting things in perspective. So I got some really good stuff in the PowerPoint, but let's get back to my notes. Oh yeah, I took a lot of screenshots. Okay, so this is very important. The coming economic times are going to create a hungry market of motivated buyers. Remember trying to get toilet paper? A lot of people wanted it and they were very motivated and they couldn't find it. But he said money will be flowing to survival needs. And do we have something that counts as survival needs when we're looking at longevity? Absolutely. So his instructions were to truly care for people and serve them through challenging times. And for social media, he said, see people behind the numbers. So if I put up a post on Instagram and only 6 people watch it, that's 6 people. You know, there are other people that they put up a post and they get 100,000 views and, you know, in an hour or something like that. So people compare themselves to those people, but don't compare yourself to the seasoned internet marketers. Look at those people, those viewers, those are people, connect with them. And he said, and that's biblical, right? Despise not the day of small beginnings. And then he said the power of proximity. Oh, I didn't show this during the webinar, I mean, during the Zoom. But when he said money will be flowing to survival needs, well, I picked up this book a little while ago and I've been going through it, and I will be making a series from that book because this is the essential guide for when help is not on the way. So what do you do to survive in a crisis or an emergency, or, you know, just something normal like childbirth? They tell you how to birth a child, you know, when help is not on the way. Toothache, what do you do? And you know what, those are not things they taught us in medical school. There are residents that, you know, that took wilderness medicine, and you know, they got special training of what to do when there was no help around. But so I'm excited about this. It's like first aid on steroids, right? So he said the power of proximity, be close to where the money is, build relationships with people who have access to opportunity and who have access to money. Like we have relationships to many people in longevity. We have access to many people in our communities. So build those relationships. And here's a mantra to say for yourself: I am a powerful and transformational leader. And what we're doing with Groove is building anti-fragile, resilient systems that will stand the test of time, even through difficult times to come. Okay, so what was, and he had us write down our vision. And I have never written this down this way, but by the end of 2023, I want to help 5 team members get to $5,000 per month, whether that is through longevity, whether that is through Groove, whether that is through their own thing, using Groove as their online platform. But I want 5 of you to get to $5,000 a month by the end of 2023. And I believe that is a very achievable goal, if that's your goal. Now, if that's not your goal, then that's not going to happen, right? So, you know, there's some doing this together that has to happen for all this to happen. And he said, you know, by writing this down, now we're going to be held accountable. So, and I put in there, and he probably said it, it's okay to be held accountable. You know, I used to be allergic to accountability, but it's okay to be accountable, especially when there are people that you know are experts in this information. They have deep knowledge in whatever you're being accountable for, and they love you. So that always helps. The spoonful of sugar helps the accountability go down. Then he talked about 3 C's: clarify, connect, and convert. We can talk about that later, but he talked about connecting on a deeper level. And I had a conversation yesterday with someone, and they asked me how I was, and they actually sat down. So I'm thinking to myself, they're sitting down to talk to me. So they, you know, this is not just I'm doing okay, you know. So I purpose to have a deeper conversation with that person. And it took me sharing some things that I normally don't share when I'm just having a casual conversation. And the thing is, I was not asking the questions at that moment. He was. So thank you, Tom, for helping us all to be more skilled at having meaningful conversations. Someone said, well, what if you don't have the track record? What if you haven't made millions in network marketing or in whatever your business is? He said, serve for free, collect testimonials, and then build up your platform, or build up your team, build up your business, build up your message, all that. He said the quality of results in your life and business are affected by, or is affected by, your standards. What will you accept? Raise your standards of what you will accept in your life. Now, this is interesting. Content is overshadowed by context. He said environment outweighs will. Now, somebody else said that, Peter Sage said that same thing last week, and it was so interesting because he was saying if you want to, you know, if you want to stay warm, you can do all the things. You can have all the jackets. You can have the environment, you know, the reflective blankets and whatever. But if you're living in a freezer, eventually the environment's going to outweigh your will. And that's true physically. But then Sunday morning, well, I'm going to get back to that. But there's another perspective of this. Remember, environment outweighs will. I'm going to actually put here, or does it? And I'm going to bold that. So I'll get back to that. Okay, so know what value you can bring to the table and deliver that. And there's a value that only you can bring to your people, your tribe. Master the skill of delivering value. And when I do, I'm going to make a little selfie based on this event. And when I do, this will be the wording of the caption for my selfie. It was more than worth pulling an all-nighter to hear such awesome wisdom and frameworks to prepare for the uncertain economic times to come. Qingyu Tan, and Simon Leung gave us clarity, confidence, and challenged us to make deeper connections with those to whom we would deliver value. The Pillar Business Summit was a transformative event. Okay, so back to environment outweighs will. Like I said, that's completely true in the physical. And that example of living in a freezer was definitely extreme. So, you know, that's an exception. That's actually fiction because people don't live in freezers unless they're homeless when it's snowing, or, you know, things like that. And people do freeze to death even though they want to stay warm. So environment in that case definitely outweighs will. The point that he was making was have an environment of people who are positive and who are working towards the same thing. You know, if you are a recovering alcoholic and you go into a bar, you're going to have a much more difficult time staying sober than if you go into a church. Or, you know, he didn't say all that, but I believe that was the point he was trying to get across. But okay, Sunday morning, Pastor Ronaldo said that will outweighs environment. And his example was Lucifer. He was in the perfect environment, in heaven, surrounded by other angels, surrounded in the heavenly council by the Trinity. He had access to the Trinity. He had, you know, but his will, right? Iniquity was found in him, and his will overcame the perfection of his environment. So for what that is worth, spiritually, I would say on the spiritual plane, definitely will overcomes the environment, because you couldn't get a more perfect environment than he was in. And his will just got him flashed down to earth. And we'll have front row seats when he gets flashed down even further. But that was those were the notes that I took. At some points, I just stopped taking notes. I mean, it was it how many hours was it? It was an 8-hour event, I think. It went from 9 p.m. to 5:30 a.m. 5 a.m. the next morning. I think that was the event. That was, yeah, it was intense. So those were not all the notes, but those were the notes that I did manage to get to paper. And I've already given you the notes from the social media mini course that Groove put on. How many of you looked at them? So just look in your, I texted them to you last week because when I finished that. Does this look familiar? So this was a 6-hour training, and I have the 6-hour video, and I was there live the whole time, but I went back and watched the whole 6 hours again and took notes, you know, with the timestamps. So 4 hours in, he gave us a selfie. Just 4.5 hours in, he gave us a selfie challenge. They were talking about the summit, and the summit was definitely a mindset event. And they said success is 80% mindset, 20% mechanics. So the pillar business summit was mindset. This event was mindset for the first hour, I would say, but the next 5 hours were mechanics. They were skills, tips in detail of what to do, and bonuses galore. It was wonderful. And you guys already have this link and the link to the YouTube video. Okay, I'm done. Here, let me stop the recording. Thank you guys for spending this time with me. I hope this was valuable for you, and we'll see you on the next one. Mwah. Bye-bye.